Questions for Coach?
Brad, how do you adjust to life without Maxwell Harrison?
Yeah, I hate the cliche, next man up, but it is what it is, and we've talked about it, going into the Ole Miss game, and we got a bunch of guys that are ready to play, and that's why they practice hard so that they can be the next guy in, and that's the way we'll just always do it. It doesn't matter which position.
Brad, there's been a lot of talk about this being kind of a unique offense. Does it remind you of any you've maybe faced in your past? And is it like an equivalent at all to maybe playing a triple option team?
Yeah, obviously it's not to the extent of the Air Force Academy, but I was there obviously for 2 years, and what they do out there is so unique, and obviously they're more under center triple, but they would jump into the pistol and give people fits, and so there are elements of that, but they're very unique in their own style and how they do it formationally, and then what they do route concept wise. Obviously it starts with the quarterback and his ability to handle the offense, the multiplicity of what they do, that's a lot, and obviously he's been in that system, so he understands what they're looking for. They stress you in a lot of different areas. They stress you in the C gap, out in the alleys when they run it. The pass game wise, there's so much eye candy. You can let them. They're one of the top, I think, 5 or 10 most efficient offenses in passing efficiency as well, because they know how to create space, both in the run game and in the pass game. And so scheme-wise, really good. Player-wise, really good. Obviously, everybody, talks about the quarterback, but the running backs, are running really hard, and not only just running through tackles, breaking tackles, but when they're called on to block, you see them put bodies on the ground. You can tell they take great pride in what they do. Receivers making play on one-on-one jump balls, specifically, with Skinner out there, he's made a lot of plays. Sherrill's made obviously the big catch on 4th down, but he's done some really good things. And then obviously, Stowers at tight end has just been a monster for them this year, and a big security blanket, for the quarterback. And really a very difficult challenge for us this week. Guys have to tackle really well. We have to play fundamentally sound. So we got to be on our A game for sure.
Brad, how important is time of possession with the offense? It's going to try to keep you guys on the field a lot of time.
Yeah, obviously in any game, it's a big deal, and it's a big deal to try to get the ball to our offense so they have chances to score and get their rhythm going. So we, what I think is obviously first and second down efficiency is a huge deal because they want to stay on track and on target, and ahead of the sticks, but third down is a vital down, obviously, and it is in every game, but I think specifically you saw last week for them, they were just so efficient on third that they were able to continue to extend drives, and then if they had to go for it on fourth, they were successful there as well. So obviously critical that we were able to get off the field as much as we can, as quickly as we can.
Obviously, you've played 2 really good quarterbacks already this year, and I think both back in their worst games against you guys. But what's different about Bobby? Is it just the style of offense, or is there something about him as a player that makes him?
He's so savvy, and he's got so much moxie and so much toughness to him. No environment, no situation seems to really rattle him. I know there's been a lot of sort of Johnny Manziel comparisons, and you can see that in the number and all that. But I think, my initial thought when I watched him, I thought sort of Baker Mayfield was, in terms of that savvy and that moxie and that gunslinger. And I guess, they're all sort of fit sort of that same category where they're just tough as nails. And it doesn't matter how hard you hit them, they're going to pop right back up and they're going to love it. And, and he's going to make his plays. Like we understand that. Like you don't go against really good football players and say, oh, we're going to shut them out. Like they're going to make their plays. We just have to make our share when that opportunity presents itself. They've done a great job of not turning the ball over. So if we can force a turnover or two, that would be huge. And again, steal a possession for our offense.
Because of that moxie, Brad, I feel like that confidence is going throughout the entire offense, throughout the entire team after a win like that. Is that kind of infectious?
Yeah, listen, we've talked about it before. Momentum's a huge deal, and they're building momentum. Not just him as a player, but that whole offense and the whole team, and it all builds on each other. And so, the goal, for any team, is to try to break some of that rhythm of the opponent. And so that's going to be our task this week, is to try to break some of that rhythm that they've got right now. Obviously an extremely tough task, easier said than done. But hopefully if we can do that, that will create rhythm for our offense, and then we can gain the momentum. So but there's going to be ebb and flows throughout the game, and so we shall see.
Brad, you guys have coming off a bye week. You got to spend 2 weeks preparing for these guys and looking at film. I know that Vanderbilt shocked the college football world Saturday. You being able to watch film on them last week, not having an opponent, were you kind of shocked by that, or did you know that was within that offense?
No, I mean, we talked about it last week before they even played Alabama. I mean, they were 2 plays away going into that game to being 4-0 going into the game. So if you think about it, they're 2 plays away essentially, in the Missouri game and the Georgia State game from being 5-0. So no, there was no fluke. There was nothing about that was really surprising. And again, when you watch the tape and you watch them, you understand, why they're able to do what they do. It's a great scheme with really good football players executing at a really high level, playing with great passion. You saw in the very first drive, of that Alabama game, there was nobody on that field that was afraid to be on that field. They wanted every bit of that smoke in that situation, and they're going to want every bit on Saturday.
Brad, how important is Pop into what you guys have done so far?
Yeah, he's been everybody on the defense has been obviously vital, but Pop brings a physicality, in a physical toughness in the middle of our defense, which is huge. Made some really big tackles for us. Has done a great job of, I think he's found his rhythm, and his comfort level now. I think he was early on, you're sort of feeling out a completely different process than you're used to, right? And then early on in the season, it's trying to figure out, all right, how do they go about game weeks, right? So like everything was new for Pop. And now there's finally a comfort, like, okay, I understand the rhythm of a game week. I understand, how the coaches go about, installations. I understand how we react on the sidelines, all of those things. So now he's just back to playing football.
1 or 2 more. Brad, they shift their tackles from right to left, their guards same way. I don't know the last time I've seen that. What offenses is that compared to, and what just unique challenges does that present for the line?
Yeah, it is extremely unique. You don't see it very often. As far as for the defensive line, I don't think it varies that much. Obviously, you have to understand who you're going against. What their tendency is, what they like to do, run, pass, all those kind of things. But ultimately, you just got to, whoever they put in front of you, that's the guy you got to put your hands on and try to physically dominate.
Anybody else? All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.